Did you notice a hidden secret in this scene? What about this one? You see, there are secrets in One Piece that are really hard to notice at normal speed. And that's why I watched the entire One Piece at 0.25x speed in order to find the most hidden secrets nobody knows about. For example, during episode 1069, while Luffy is battling Kaido, we can see a couple of frames flashing at this exact moment. It may not seem like much at first. However, if we go back and slow it down, we can see that these are all of Luffy's gears. Here are gear 2, 3, 4, and we even got to see gear 5 for one frame, even though it was officially introduced a couple of episodes later. But there's another really cool detail during Captain Kuro's backstory that I am sure most of you missed. In this scene, after Kuro defeats all the Marines on the ship, he chooses to leave only this blonde guy alive, but not before breaking its jaw. Well, what if I tell you that this random Marine grew up to be Axe-Hand Morgan from Shell's Town? The reason he has metal jaws becomes really obvious now. However, one thing we still didn't get an explanation for is this super weird thing about Blackbeard. You see, when we were first introduced to him in chapter 146, he had a few teeth missing. Nothing too weird considering he's a pirate. However, later on, in episode 325, a completely different set of teeth was missing. A similar thing happened again in episode 490 when his teeth changed again. Although teeth appearing isn't a big deal, while I watched One Piece in 0.25x, I noticed something much weirder. In this one scene during the Amazon Lily arc, once the camera zooms in on this girl, if you look really closely, you can see that she was actually animated with 3 legs. 1, 2, and 3. But something else I completely missed while watching the show normally happened in episode 8. Here, while Buggy is preparing to eat his devil fruit, you can see this guy in the audience. Notice something weird about him? His shirt has the exact same pattern and color as Luffy's Gomu Gomu devil fruit. Although this probably means nothing, it was an interesting find. But not as interesting as this one when I found out that Oda, the creator of One Piece, actually sneaked himself into the show twice! First, in this scene, when Nami is going through the books, you can clearly see Oda's name on the side. And later on in Barati's bathroom, you can see Oda's name again under the mirror. Okay, although these secrets were really hard to spot, this is only the first stage. And with each stage, the secrets are going to get even crazier, and I doubt anyone knows the secrets I found in the final stage. Let's move to the second stage now, and pay attention because I guarantee you didn't notice this one before. During Zoro's fight against King in episode 1062, if you pause right here, you can see a weird face drawn on this tree in the background. And if you think that is just a coincidence, take a look at the Twitter profile of the animator who animated this scene. He clearly drew this for a reason, but this can't really be said for this next secret, which was clearly a big mistake. You see, in episode 461, Ace meets Shanks on some unknown island, and Shanks decides to throw a banquet. However, while they're eating, if you look closely at Shanks, you'll notice that he somehow has both of his arms, despite losing one years ago. But there are also some hidden secrets that you don't want to find because they'll completely spoil the show for you. For example, believe it or not, Luffy's shirts during various flashbacks actually hold some big secrets. For example, this shirt, Ace a Lion, is a clear reference to Thousand Sunny, while this X shirt is a foreshadowing about a big scar Luffy gets during Marineford. There's also this one that has a subscribe button on it. I guess it's foreshadowing that you guys will subscribe to the channel. Go do it right now. Anyway, this Newton shirt most likely references Vegapunk's design, which is based on a popular story about Newton and an apple. However, the most shocking of all has to be his Tamagotchiken shirt, which translates to Egg Incident, foreshadowing the current story arc. And although you've probably noticed this one without watching the anime in slow motion, this next one in episode 1059 is much harder to find. Look closely. Did you see it? If we pause at this exact frame, you can see Zoro's skeleton along with 2 devil horns coming out of his head. You can find a similar secret in episode 1062 as well. If you pause right here, you can see that Zoro's swords become the horns of a demon. These 2 secrets are of course a reference to Zoro being a demon in the One Piece world. While watching this one scene during the Wano arc in slow motion, I couldn't help but feel that it looks really familiar. So I did some research, and I was right. The exact same scene was used as a commercial break screen for Dragon Ball Z more than 30 years ago. Here, check these 2 side by side. Every single movement is identical. Did you know all of these hidden secrets secrets so far? If so, good job. But now we're going into the third stage, and some of these secrets are pretty much impossible to notice. Like, for example, this one, where some really suspicious things happened during episode 1062. Firstly, while Zoro is preparing to attack King, if you pause at this exact moment, you can see a green Among Us character next to him. What's even funnier is that the animator did it again in the very same episode while King was powering up, only it was a red one this time. And if you still believe it's just a coincidence, even the animator himself acknowledged it on Twitter. But let's move from suspicious secrets and cover a wholesome one next. During the Levelly arc, in this specific scene, we can see Dr. Kureha and Dalton having a talk. And if you look closely at the shirt Kureha is wearing, you'll notice that it says, "Wanted, 100 berries." This is, of course, a reference to Chopper's bounty at that point in time. And you have to admit that it's really sweet how she made this custom shirt to support him. Another really fun secret can be found during Dressrosa when Luffy joins the Gladiator tournament. Here, Luffy came up with the name Lucci in order to hide his real identity. Really sneaky of him. But more importantly, he got assigned a number, 0556. And what if I tell you that this number is not random at all? The first two digits, 05, are actually referring to his birthday, which is on May 5th, which can also be written as 0505. And the last two digits, 56, refer to his devil fruit Gomu, which means 56 in Japanese. And although you may have noticed the secret meaning of this number, you 100% missed this small secret in the One Piece movie, Red. Near the end of the movie, while Shanks is trying to give Uda medicine, if you watch it in slow motion, in this exact frame, you can see that this medicine was produced in 1997. But why is this important? Well, it's because this is the same year that One Piece started publishing. Okay, this last detail was so small, I honestly doubt anyone noticed it while watching the movie at normal speed. But there are still 2 stages left, and the final one will absolutely blow your mind. But there are some insane secrets in stage 4 as well, like this, for example, where Sanji kicked Queen so hard that even his tattoo started crying. Yeah, if you really slow it down this exact part in episode 1061, you can clearly see that after Sanji's kick, Queen's tattoo starts changing faces like it's in pain, and it even looks like it's crying at one point. Another really small secret I noticed while watching the anime in slow motion is this book called Brag Men. I first noticed this book briefly during Little Garden arc while Nami was reading it, but then I was surprised to see the same book again during Robin's backstory. So what's this book about? Well, after doing some research, I found out that this book is all about adventures on the Grand Line, and it talks about all of the mysteries and creatures people encountered while sailing. In the very first episode of the One Piece live action, Luffy arrives at Shellstown and admires all of the pirate bounties on the wall. However, if you slow down this part a bit, you can actually notice a few really cool secrets. Firstly, you can see the wanted posters for Foxy and Bellamy, and although these two are pretty easy to notice, there's actually one that's way more hidden. On this exact frame, if you look at the bottom left corner, you can actually see Cavendish's bounty. And yeah, the guys look as ridiculous as ever. But there are also some really cool details you probably missed in the new One Piece opening. Firstly, during this scene, when all Straw Hats are walking, their outfits actually change based on the floor they are on. You see, each of these floors represents a different arc. For example, this tiled floor is from Loguetown. This is Enies Lobby's floor. Then we have Thriller Bark, Sabaody, and so on. As soon as the Straw Hat steps on a different floor, their costume changes to the one they wore during that arc. However, an even smaller secret in this opening can be found on exactly the 26th second. If we pause here, we can see Zoro and Luffy sitting on a couch. But if you take a closer look at Luffy, you'll notice that he still wears his usual outfit under the egghead coat. This small detail explains why when Luffy turned into Gear 5th, he had his original outfit on instead of the coat. And now it's finally time to move on to the 5th stage. And the secret's so insane they can only be noticed if you have advanced observation hockey developed. Like this one time when Luffy gave Kaido a finger and everybody missed it. You see, in episode 1072, Luffy was excited after awakening his devil fruit, so he started uncontrollably spinning in the air. And if you watch this scene in really slow motion, it's clear that he was a bit too excited. But definitely not as excited as these animators when they animated episode 1066, because they left an absolutely ridiculous secret. Here, when Kid is preparing to shoot Big Mom with his gun, if we pause right as he shoots, we'll see this frame which hides a secret message from the animators. If you take a closer look, you'll notice that the text says, "Smoking on that Big Mom pack." And although that's a really creative message, another animator left an even crazier one. In episode 1062, while King and Zoro are battling, on this frame, you can see these Arabic letters. And if we translate those into English, we'll get a heartfelt, motivational message from the animator. Nah, I'm just kidding. He literally wrote, "I like spaghetti." During this same episode, while King is powering up, in slow motion, we can see his transformation from a kid to an adult. And during episode 1074, before Luffy and Kaido clashed, a bunch of weird symbols are shown on screen. Some of these look like the sun, so they're probably referring to Luffy being a sun god, while Kaido is represented as a dragon. But by far one of the most interesting secrets in slow-mo has to be this one. Here, Kaido uses one of his signature attacks against Luffy, Boro Breath, and just as he releases it, this frame can be seen. Do you notice anything weird here? I also didn't notice it at first, but if you look at the laser beam, the name of Kaido's attack is written in it, Boro Breath. Another cool detail from Zoro's fight against King happened when Zoro used his Tiger Hunt attack. Afterward, instead of just leaving a regular crater in the ground like all other anime attacks, Zoro's Tiger Hunt left a mark on the ground resembling a real tiger bite. But did you ever notice that some of the One Piece characters just randomly change sizes in some arcs? Or that some of the Devil Fruit users can actually swim? If you want to hear more about this, click on this video next where we covered 13 plot holes you didn't notice in One Piece.